The reddish-brown water provides perfect cover for a large anaconda on the move. Under the cover of darkness, the hunter leaves the water. Long grass and mist obscure the silent approach of the snake. In the dark, patience is a weapon. The tongue samples the air, reading the chemical signals of potential prey nearby. A stray dog wanders through the yard. In this environment, from the ground, unawareness is a fatal mistake, and danger. The dog senses something amiss, barking nervously at the creeping, unseen threat. To the snake, the world is heat. The dog burns bright against the cold night, a beacon of warmth and life to the predator. The target is acquired. As the dog moves away, its heat trail lingers, a ghostly path for the hunter to follow. But not all heat is food. A parked car, engine ticking as it cools, offers a different kind of resource to the reptile. Seeking shelter, the snake slides underneath. The complex machinery of the wheel well provides a perfect, secure hiding spot. Thermal vision reveals the attraction. The engine block glows like a fire, and the cold-blooded snake wraps itself around the warmth. Tucked away inside the machinery, it is invisible. Coiled tight and glistening with oil, the urban jungle becomes a home. Morning brings a shift. The sun rises over the wetlands, burning off the mist and revealing the vast wild landscape. Here, the giant Victoria Amazonica lilies dominate the water. Their massive leaves create a floating platform for life. The flower opens in a slow, beautiful display. Pink and white petals unfurl, a brief burst of color on the pond. A wattled jacana treads lightly. The leaf is strong enough to support the bird as it hunts for insects on the surface. But the leaf also hides danger. A juvenile anaconda rests on the rim, its spots mimicking the dappled light of the vegetation. Beneath the surface, the structure is formidable. Thick ribs, armed with sharp spikes, protect the plant from below. Sensing a threat, the young snake retreats. It slides gracefully into the water, navigating the maze of thorny stems. Diving deep, it seeks the safety of the bottom. In this underwater forest, the small predator becomes the hidden prey. The seasons change with violence. The sun blazes orange, and the heat waves signal the arrival of the merciless dry season. Rivers retreat, leaving scars of cracked mud. The anaconda must move, slithering slowly across the parched, unforgiving earth. Instinct drives it underground. Pushing into damp leaves and mud, the snake burrows to escape the lethal surface temperatures. The tail disappears into the earth. Dull and dusty, the scales have lost their shine, a testament to the harsh conditions. Desolation reigns on the forest floor. In a muddy puddle, the snake coils tight, conserving every drop of moisture left. Migration is a struggle. Moving through thick, sticky clay, the massive snake battles suction with every muscular contraction. Coated in heavy mud, the struggle is visible. The clay dries on its skin, adding weight to an already exhausting journey. Blindness is the price of survival. Caked in dried grey mud, the snake raises its head, relying entirely on other senses. The tongue is the guide. Clean and black against the grey mask, it flicks out to taste the path forward. Inside the mouth, the Jacobson's organ analyzes the scent. With a map built of smells, the blinded giant continues on. Then, a new threat rises. Smoke fills the sky as a bushfire consumes the canopy, sending birds fleeing in panic. The plantation burns. Orange flames devour the sugarcane, roaring across the landscape in a wave of destruction. The world turns to ash. Visibility drops to zero, and the silhouettes of fleeing animals are lost in the haze. Danger presses from all sides. Moving through the grass with flames licking the trees, the snake moves with desperate urgency. The fire line advances relentlessly. It leaves behind a stark black wasteland, contrasting sharply with the life it consumes. High above, the cleanup crew arrives. A vulture circles the smoke, scanning the charred ground for those who failed to escape. But the snake endures. Slithering through soot and stubble, it finds salvation in a small drainage ditch that survived. Water brings relief. Submerging in the shallow mud, the heat radiates from its body as it finally cools down. Safe at last. Resting on a submerged log, the snake watches the golden sunset reflect on the quiet river backwater. The river meets the sea. Industry and settlement crowd the muddy mouth where brown water mixes with the ocean. Concrete defends the land. Sluice gates and sea walls stand as a barrier against the rising tides and the salt. The ocean fights back. Waves crash violently against the walls, spraying salt into the air in a display of raw power. Green defends the coast. A lush mangrove forest stretches out a natural buffer, absorbing the energy of the sea. At low tide, the architecture is revealed. Tangled red roots stand like spider legs, anchoring the forest in the shifting mud. The tide rises, reclaiming the roots. Brown, sediment-rich water floods the forest, bringing small fish into the maze. Life hangs from the branches. Mangrove seeds, shaped like spears, wait for their moment to drop into the tide. A splash marks the beginning. The seed falls, bobbing to the surface to start its journey on the currents. Drifting vertically, the seed travels past muddy banks. It is a colonizer looking for a place to take hold. Time speeds up. Lodging in the mud, the seed sprouts rapidly, establishing a new tree in the harsh tidal zone. Color explodes in the canopy. Scarlet ibis perch on the dark branches, their neon red feathers shocking against the green. The sky turns red. Taking flight in slow motion, the flock creates a stunning visual storm of wings against the blue. The forest ends at the sand. Mangroves give way to the beach, where gentle waves mark the edge of the continent. Inside the swamp, high tide brings calm. The humid, hot atmosphere is reflective and teeming with hidden life. Underwater, visibility drops. In the turbid green murk, an anaconda navigates the complex root system. The water recedes again. Time-lapse reveals the draining swamp, exposing the muddy floor and the roots once more. The scavengers emerge. A mangrove crab with a massive blue claw picks at the sediment, sifting for food. Competition is fierce. Crabs scurry over the roots, fighting over scraps of debris in jerky, fast movements. But they are watched, camouflaged perfectly in the mud. A juvenile spectacled caiman lies motionless in ambush. A miniature dinosaur waits. With mouth slightly open, the baby caiman is a statue of patience and lethal intent. Tension builds in the mud. The caiman blinks, unaware of the larger shadow lurking in the roots behind it. Explosive violence. The anaconda strikes from the shadows, mud flying as it slams into the unsuspecting reptile. Coils wrap instantly. The muscular body tightens around the caiman, grinding scales against skin in the churning mud. The squeeze is fatal. The caiman gasps silently as the pressure builds, cutting off oxygen and crushing the struggle. Silence returns to the mud. Half buried in the dark, wet earth, the snake begins the slow process of consuming its kill. The wild gives way to order. Dense mangroves end abruptly, replaced by the geometric lines of human agriculture. Sugarcane stretches to the horizon. Endless green rows are separated by canals, a stark contrast to the chaotic jungle. The wind rustles the stalks. Under the beating sun, the monoculture landscape hides a thriving ecosystem of its own. Egrets feed in the harvest. Pecking at the disturbed soil, they follow the tracks of heavy machinery in the mud. The canals are highways. Straight and filled with dark water, they cut through the fields, offering hidden paths for snakes. People live on the edge. Rural settlements on stilts border the plantations, connected by paved roads cutting the green. A giant moves through the grass. The ground vibrates as a massive, thick anaconda slithers heavily towards the road. Nature meets machine. The huge snake crosses the verge while a massive red truck speeds past, unaware of the monster. Rising from the grass, it looks prehistoric. Periscoping against the cloudy sky, the snake surveys its domain. Down into the dark, the snake enters a concrete culvert, disappearing from the daylight into the city's underbelly. Emerging into the red water, the iron-rich ditch offers camouflage as the snake swims effortlessly through the mud. Tracking through the residential canal, reflections of houses ripple over the snake's body as it patrols the neighborhood. Night falls over the outskirts. The sky turns purple and streetlights flicker on, casting an ominous glow. In a messy backyard, shadows move. The silhouette of a large snake glides silently past old tires and debris. The hunt is on. From the snake's low perspective, the legs of a stray dog are visible under the street lamp. Looking up from the grass, the predator closes in. The dog barks nervously at the darkness, sensing the threat. Heat vision locks on. The dog glows bright yellow against the cool purple yard, a vivid target for the thermal hunter. Sensing pits, analyze the warmth. The snake remains perfectly still, calculating the distance for a potential strike. But the moment passes, the dog trots away, its heat signature fading. The snake lowers its head, waiting for easier prey. Moving on, the snake heads for a fence. Moonlight reflects off its wet scales as it slithers towards the barrier. A fence is no obstacle. Searching for a gap, the legless predator finds that obstacles are merely temporary. Squeezing through, belly scutes grip the concrete, pulling the flexible body through a small hole in the mesh. Inside the coop, silence reigns. White chickens sleep on the ground, unaware that death has entered the room. The tongue tastes the air. Flicking rapidly, it analyzes the scent of the birds, confirming the meal ahead. Inching closer, the movement is imperceptible, maintaining the high tension as the snake closes the gap. The strike is a blur. Chaos erupts as the snake launches, and white feathers fly into the air. Coils wrap instantly. The dark patterns of the snake contrast sharply with the white bird as it disappears into the embrace. Muscles bulge and tighten. The squeeze is efficient, ending the struggle quickly in the dusty moonlight. Silence returns. Holding the prize, the predator begins to inspect its meal as dust motes settle around them. City life offers niches. An anaconda prowls a paved driveway, moving towards a parked car in search of comfort. The engine ticks, cooling down. To the snake, the sedan is not a vehicle, but a source of residual heat. Thermal imaging reveals the lure. The wheels and hood glow bright orange against the cool night, irresistible warmth. Climbing up, the snake navigates the wheel well, moving effortlessly into the undercarriage machinery. Hidden away, from below, the snake is seen coiled tightly around the warm suspension parts, secure and invisible. Resting on the metal, a subtle heat shimmer shows the absorption of warmth. Anacondas love the engine block. A pink lotus blooms. Dewdrops glisten on the petals, set against the soft green of the canal vegetation. The canal is beautiful. Straight and calm, it is filled with green pads and flowers, reflecting the palm trees. From the air, the network is clear. Drainage canals cut through the low-lying land, essential for the city and the wild. A forest of stems, rising from the water, the lotus plants create a shaded, complex microhabitat for insects. The giant leaf is a world, waxy and water repellent. A small puddle sits in the center of the 60-centimeter pad. A tiny monster appears. A baby anaconda slithers onto the leaf, vivid and high contrast compared to the adults. Miniature ambush, freezing. The baby snake strikes quickly at an insect, splashing water in a tiny display of power. Retreating underwater, the baby swims down through the stems, using the tangled roots as cover from birds. Safe among the lotus. Peeking out from under a leaf, the dappled lighting protects the young predator. A superhighway for snakes. Aerials show how the canals connect the wild wetlands directly to human homes. The sky turns harsh. The sun rises higher, shifting from a gentle glow to a brutal, blinding white light. Blazing across the sky, time-lapse shows the intensity increasing, signaling a shift to a more hostile environment. The savanna bakes. Heat waves distort the horizon, turning lush green into dry yellow under the stifling atmosphere. Water retreats. A shrinking hole turns to cracked mud, trapping small fish in the remaining puddle. Ruthless sun beats down. Through the skeletal branches of a dry tree, the silhouette of the drought is clear. Movement is labored. A large anaconda struggles across the drying mud, coated in clay that hardens on its skin. The earth cracks. Brittle texture dominates the ground, a stark contrast to the snake's desperate need for moisture. Desperation rises. The snake's head lifts from a mud wallow, eyes clouded, searching for shade or deeper water. A field of baked mud. What was once a swamp is now a desolate wasteland. The snake, a small dark shape in the vastness. Gasping for relief, resting in a shallow puddle, the massive snake opens its mouth as the mud cracks around it. Like a fallen log, tracking along the immense body, the scales are covered in dust and dried leaves, blending in. Alert but sluggish, the head rises from the tall grass, looking around through the shimmering heat haze. Mud obscures the vision. Caked in grey clay, the snake's eye is hidden, forcing it to rely on its tongue. Scent is the guide. The tongue flicks out, catching particles for the Jacobson's organ to navigate the blindness. Weight presses down, moving slowly through the undergrowth. The sheer mass of the animal crushes the dry vegetation. Death brings life. A decomposing carcass lies in the grass, buzzing with flies, a feast waiting for visitors. The cleanup crew lands. Black vultures and a king vulture approach cautiously, wings spread to claim the prize. The king dominates. With vibrant head colors and a piercing gaze, the king vulture rules over the scavengers. Tearing at the flesh, the squabble begins, a raw and gritty display of the nutrient cycle in action. Tough skin yields, pulling at the meat. The vultures tear open the anaconda, revealing the internal structure. The skeleton is revealed. Rows of curved ribs appear, endless, thin, and flexible. The architecture of the giant bone scaffold. Macro shots highlight the delicate white ribs contrasting against the dark, decaying flesh. Sunset shadows. The scavengers finish their meal as the sun goes down, casting long shadows over the bones. Storms gather. Clouds build over the mountains, shifting the atmosphere from heat to the anticipation of rain. Conserving energy. A living anaconda basks on a grey rock, flattening its body to absorb the warmth. Internal pressure. On land, the snake's own weight crushes its lungs, stretching deeply along its body. Seeking buoyancy, sliding off the rock, the snake moves towards mud and water to support its massive frame. Grace returns. Entering the muddy pool, the water takes the weight, and movement becomes effortless once more. Settling in, underwater, the snake sinks into the mud, relief visible as silt clouds the water around it. A sanctuary found. In the dry forest, this small waterhole is a lifeline. She has found a place to survive. The tapir pushes through. Using its prehensile snout, the large mammal strips leaves in the dappled forest light. Chewing vigorously, the tapir's calm. Dark eyes watch the forest as flies buzz around its wet nose. Colorful neighbors. A toko toucan turns its massive beak, while a saki monkey peers curiously through the leaves. Aggressive display. An Amazon tree boa strikes at the camera, displaying recurved teeth from its hanging branch. Spotted camouflage. High in a tree fork, an ocelot gnaws on a bone, blending perfectly with the bark. Vivid feeding. A red and green macaw eats a nut, while a hummingbird hovers at a bright red ginger flower. Tight coils. A tree boa constricts a small rodent inside a hollow tree, hiding the prey within its scales. Prehistoric armor. A massive black caiman walks out of the water onto the sand, watched by vultures. Power in the current. Sliding back into the dark river, the caiman swims, its back ridges breaking the surface. Jaws snap shut. A low angle captures the violent splash as the caiman grabs a fish with irregular teeth. Violent thrashing. To position the meal, the reptile shakes its head, creating white foam against dark skin. Apex gathering. A group of large black caimans congregates near the rapids, jostling for position in the turbulence. Churning rapids. The river flows fast and white here, walled in by the lush green forest on both sides. Hunting in dangerous territory, the green anaconda slithers carefully over wet, mossy rocks near the caimans. Into the calm, the snake slides from the rocks into a protected pool, submerging smoothly out of the current. The upper Isakabo, the water calms, reflecting blue sky and clouds around a sandy island in the middle. Core strength, climbing a hanging branch, the anaconda pulls its heavy body up, scales catching the sunlight. Ambush, position. Resting its chin on the branch, the snake looks down at the water, blurring into the background. The river wolves arrive. Giant river otters pop up in the rapids, swimming against the flow and communicating. Swimming upstream, periscoping and chirping, the pack moves with energy, splashing through the water. Crunching bones, an otter sits on a log, tearing into a fish with sharp teeth, scales flying. Social grooming. 2 otters rub faces on the sand, their sleek, dark fur contrasting with creamy throats. Alarm scream. The alpha stops, staring at the bank. The scream alerts the pack, turning them aggressive instantly. Sneaking past, the anaconda tries to stay low in the roots, but its massive wake gives it away. The mob attacks. Outnumbered, the snake thrashes as the otters bite at its tail and flanks in chaotic water. Defensive coils. Hissing and striking, the anaconda tries to fight back, but the otters are too fast. Retreat to the deep. Realizing defeat, the snake dives into the main channel, escaping the relentless pack. Victory song. The otters regroup on the log, vocalizing their dominance. They fear nothing in the river. Watchers in the canopy. Weeper capuchin monkeys look down, agitated by the commotion below. Nervous drink. A monkey descends cautiously to the river, dipping a hand quickly before retreating. Dusk falls. Time-lapse shows the river turning from gold to dark blue as shadows lengthen over the jungle. The chorus begins. Crickets and tree frogs call, their throat sacs expanding as darkness takes hold. Bats emerge. Fishing bats leave the roost, flying low over the water, silhouettes against the twilight. The snatch. In slow motion, a bat dips claws into the water, grabbing a fish in a perfect arc of spray. The hunter returns. In a quiet lagoon, the escaped anaconda re-emerges. With pupils dilated, it is ready to hunt. Giant rodents. A family of capybaras enters the water, blocky shapes cooling off in the moonlight. Stealth mode. Only eyes and nostrils break the surface as the snake moves without a ripple towards the largest prey. Rising from the depths, underwater, the dark shape of the snake ascends beneath the paddling legs of the capybara. The pause, ears twitching, the rodent senses something. The snake freezes, tension hanging heavy in the silent swamp. Explosive strike. The water shatters as the anaconda launches, jaws grabbing the neck in a spray of chaos. Death roll. Snake and rodent roll in the mud, momentum allowing the thick coils to wrap instantly. Iron grip. Muscles ripple and lock. The capybara kicks, but the constriction is absolute. Underwater struggle. Pulled deeper into the mud, bubbles escape the prey's nose as suffocation begins. Silence returns. The water settles, leaving only the heavy breathing of the victor holding the dead weight. Dragging the meal, slowly, the snake hauls the heavy carcass onto the muddy bank, glistening in the moonlight. Locating the head, the tongue inspects the prey. Swallowing headfirst is essential for the legs to fold back. Unhinging the jaw, extreme close-up shows ligaments stretching wide, opening 180 degrees to fit the snout. Walking the jaws, a slow rhythm begins. Left, then right. Teeth act like hooks pulling the massive meal inside. The snorkel, the glottis pushes forward, a breathing tube allowing the snake to breathe while its throat is blocked. Stretched to the limit, scales separate, revealing islands of skin as the pattern distorts around the massive bulk. Hours pass. Time-lapse shows the huge lump moving from mouth to neck. The capybara disappears inch by inch. The final gulp. Hind legs vanish into the mouth, pushed down with one last major effort. Realigning the jaw, the snake yawns widely, snapping its bones back into place after the extreme feat. Immobile and bloated. Lying on the bank, the snake is massively swollen, a huge bulge in its midsection. Vulnerable now. Slow and clumsy, the predator needs a hiding place immediately to digest in safety. Retreat to the deep. Sliding heavily back into the water, the buoyancy supports the weight as it sinks to the bottom. Internal fire. Stomach acids begin their work, and the heart rate rises to fuel the digestion of the massive feast. Weeks pass. The riverbank cycles through day and night, but the snake remains hidden, digesting. Transformation. The eye turns milky blue. A sign of renewal, the snake prepares to shed its skin and grow again.